Hello everyone, welcome to our preview for Pro Tour Amonkhet. Rich Hagon alongside my fellow co-host Maria Bartholdi. Welcome to the desk, Maria. 3 fantastic days coming your way from here in Nashville, Tennessee. Maria, as we gear up for Amonkhet, what are you most looking forward to?
Rich, the Pro Tour is like Christmas for Magic players. I'm so excited to be here among the best players in the world. I'm really excited to see what people bring to the table for Standard, but especially for Draft.
Yeah, I know you're a big Limited fan, but one of the big stories here at Pro Tour Amonkhet is our new team series. Act 1 was at Pro Tour Ether Revolt. This is part 2 of the trilogy here at Pro Tour Amonkhet, and our man with all the news on the team series is Brian David Marshall. BDM, what's the shape of the team series here at Pro Tour Amonkhet?
Thanks, Rich. Lots of action going on here in the team series this weekend. This is the second leg of the Pro Tour team series. And really what's at stake this weekend is teams getting to the top 4 of the standings at the end of this tournament, because that means regardless of how many of your teammates are qualified, you'll get everyone on those top 4 teams invited back to the Pro Tour in Kyoto. Let's take a look at some of the top teams that we're going to be watching this weekend. And if you see this asterisk over here next to a name, that's a name that's really sweating that top 4 finish, because that means they're not qualified for this Pro Tour. In the case of Nam Sung-wook on MTG Mint Card, one of the front-running teams in this tournament series, of course, at the top of the standings in large part due to the top 8 finish of Eduardo Sajgalik, who just got the platinum this past weekend in Richmond. Let's take a look at the other team on the top of the standings, also with 49 points. That's Musashi. This is the Japanese super team, and I think everyone should be terrified of this team, because we talked about Eduardo Sajgalik getting a top 8 finish, and as we go through these top teams, that top 8 finish is going to be a recurring theme. Not for Musashi. You know, they did this without a top 8. So, you know, this is just a team that is all-stars. Kentaro Yamamoto, Yuya Watanabe, Shota Yasaoka, the Hall of Famer, Ken Yukihiro, Yuki Ichikawa, Teruya Kukame, you know, Grand Prix winners and, you know, Pro Tour top 8 competitors. And you know what? They did this without anybody spiking. Anybody getting through to Sunday, you know, really would be shocked to not see these guys really in the mix in the final rounds as we go to Kyoto. Let's keep walking down the line here. And here you see team face-to-face games. Multiple Pro Tour champions on this team: Alexander Hayne, Jacob Wilson, and Evan Flock. You know, great players: Sam Pardee, Oliver too, of course, the Rookie of the Year. Oliver, to me, is the big question on this team. Not in the sense that he's, you know, Rookie of the Year. He was the constructed master, but he's playing Magic this year while trying to balance everything against school and social life and all that kind of fun stuff. So really how he performs on this team, I think, is going to be a big factor in where this team goes down the line. Let's keep going. And here you see Dex third. And there are a lot of asterisks here. It's really unlikely that we're going to see this team go very far. You know, Luca Esper-Berthu, he was the winner of the last Pro Tour, and that's really the bulk of the points here. How broad are his shoulders? Can he win another Pro Tour as a 5-slot qualifier to bring like all of his friends back to Kyoto to maybe get far? He's got a lot of work ahead of him. 30 points, probably not going to be enough, but we'll be keeping an eye on that. Let's keep going on down the line here. In 5th place, you see Team Lingering Souls. So this picture here, that's the first time the entire team met each other in person. As that picture was taken, as those T-shirts were being handed out, they didn't all know each other. This was a team, you know, that they, you know, came out of a bat signal put up on Twitter by Shaheen Sarani and Travis Wu as they were looking to be a part of this team series. Breakout finish for Donald Smith, someone who's really been lurking in the top 25 of the last couple of Pro Tours, but broke through into the top 8. And you know what? Now they're in 5th place. They're like, holy cow, we got to make the most of this. You know, they've got a house. We got a chance to talk to them earlier this week. We're going to hear more from them throughout the weekend. But Team Lingering Soul, someone really looking to make a name for themselves here during the team series. And then in 6th place, we have Dex Army. And again, you see Marcio Carvalho, again, coming off that finals finish. He lost to Lucas Esper-Berthu in the finals of the last Pro Tour. You know, just having a tremendous year. Carlos Romao, Luis Salvato, someone who's really been a breakout player for me over the last couple of Pro Tours. He's got a top 16. He's got a top 8. You know, Luis Salvato and Carlos Romao both trying to get to platinum this year, but Marcio Carvalho has really been doing the heavy lifting for this team thus far, and be exciting to see where this South American powerhouse goes. Would not be surprised at all, you know, to see multiple players from this team, you know, at the World Championship, and possibly this team playing at the World Championship for the Team Pro Tour Series Finals.
Fantastic stuff. Thanks very much, BDM, and he'll be embedded in all the action over the weekend. So, Maria, we start with Limited. What appeals about Limited for you?
Well, this format is pretty wide open, Rich. We saw aggressive decks really take the day last weekend at Grand Prix Richmond and in Beijing. So I want to find out if we can also see really controlling decks also make it to the top 8.
Right, so do things balance out. Now, what about the structure of the weekend? Let's take you a look at how the Limited format works. So what have we got, Maria, for draft fans?
Sure, so we're going to kick things off on Friday. The first thing you're going to see is 2 of the best players in the world draft. We get to see every pick. This is really exciting. Then, of course, 3 rounds of booster draft. We're going to slap it down, flip it, not reverse it on Saturday. It's the same thing. We're going to get to watch 2 amazing players draft again, which I love to do, Rich. And then once again, 3 rounds of draft, but you have to have 4 wins or better to come back to draft again on day 2.
All right, well, for much more on the Limited format, why don't we head across town to the video wall? Here comes Tim Willoughby and Kenji Egashira.
Well, Kenji, you've picked a great Pro Tour to be joining us on the coverage team because this Amonkhet Draft format, it looks really exciting. There's a lot of different things here to enjoy. What are some real standouts to you in this draft format?
I really like cycling. Cycling is an old format, or an old ability from a long time ago, but we also have things like Exert and Embalm, 2 of the new things that can really push the Limited format to an all-star.
Yeah, it's kind of nice the fact that even if you have an awful lot of lands, you can always do things. You've got all those extra resources in your graveyard and lots of extra options. Quite a challenging format, but something that we've seen is this is a format where people have had a little bit more opportunity to test. This set has been on Magic the Gathering Online since right after the pre-release, and talking to a lot of the pros in the room today, they seem very hot in this format.
Absolutely. You can jam 50+ drafts easily now with the addition on the Magic Online. In fact, I've done a ton of them as well. It's just so good. A lot of the players saying that it's a bomb-driven format, but that's true of any Limited format. Of course, you can open things like Glorybringer or Angel of Sanctions, of course. But of course, you can do so many other things in this format as well. You go top end or go super aggro. It all depends on what you want to do.
Yeah, very, very cool. I mean, we saw first picking 1-drops. That's not necessarily something that you see a whole lot in very many formats, but at the other end of the spectrum, there are, your big cycling creatures, and the fact that you can do both of them all in one draft format, a little unusual.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, having this variety, I think a lot of players are going to go and strive for the very aggro decks. Right off the Pro Tour. They're going to go for the safe play. They're going to go for the aggro streamlined. You might open things like Sandworm Convergence and try to go a little bit big. One of my favorites, of course, but it's a little bit riskier.
Well, I guess we're going to get a chance to see early on tomorrow and, of course, on Saturday exactly how that plays out. Plenty of different options this Amonkhet Draft format, and I know we in the coverage team very excited to see how that turns out.
We certainly are, Tim. Thanks very much to Tim and Kenji, and they'll be down on the floor, right in the heart of the action in the feature match area. So, Maria, for the fans of Standard, when and where is that happening?
Okay, so Standard's going to start after lunch on Friday. We're going to see 5 rounds of that. The same thing on Saturday, 5 rounds of Standard. Once again, that totals 16 rounds in all if you're doing the math.
Right, and those 10 rounds of Standard go towards the Standard Master competition, which we're now going to be 3/4 of the way through by the end of the weekend. But what shape is Standard going to have? Could be very different to a couple of weeks ago, that's for sure. Let's find out the little skinny on Standard with Marshall Sutcliffe and Hall of Famer Luis Scott Vargas.
Luis, normally you and I like to talk Limited, right?
That we do.
When the PT comes up, I'm jamming drafts. It's time for the constructed rounds. I need to know what's going on. I want you to give me that debriefing here for their benefit.
So, of course, Standard's been shaken up recently. We've got the release of Amonkhet and, of course, the departure of Felidar Guardian. So where that's going to end us up is with Mardu Vehicles being one of the top decks, for sure.
Now, there were some new toys that came out in Amonkhet, not enough to defeat the beast, huh?
There were, but it also got some new playables. Glorybringer, for example, is just quite a strong card. You're going to see Torrential Gearhulk that has returned. Free the Gearhulk, and between Torrential Gearhulk, the fact that Zombies got some new toys as well, Dread Wanderer as being a very big one. You might see some Relentless Dead and Crypt Breakers coming back. So.
Okay, now the other card that I've been seeing a little bit on the list that I've been looking at is Marvel.
Yes, Eitherworks Marvel, definitely a deck. Teamer, Bant, and straight red-green Marvel all have a lot of similarities, and they all want to get Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, into play as soon as possible, thanks to Eitherworks Marvel, but also play like a mid-range deck. So we're going to see, a range from the very aggressive zombie decks with 1-drops, the Mardu decks with 1-drops, but slightly more mid-range game, to then the Marvel decks that go over the top, but also play like mid-range, and then Torrential Gearhulk, which is right on the control axis.
What's the best Torrential Gearhulk deck in your opinion?
I think Blue-Red is the
Blue-Red?
best poised. Yeah, Magma Spray was a huge addition to the deck.
Keeps you alive longer and all of that. All right, well, thanks, Luis. We appreciate it. Let's send it back to the news desk.
Well, we can speculate all we want, but in the end, we're less than 24 hours away from finding out the truth. What 400 decks turn up in Standard tomorrow, we'll find out. Maria, we've got as far as Friday and Saturday night, and we've got rid of 392 or so.
Yes.
We're down to the last 8. How does Sunday work? Walk us through it.
So Sunday is our top 8, the players with the best record on the weekend. It's going to be the best 3 out of 5 games. If you win, you advance. If you lose, that's it.
All right, so that's all pretty straightforward. They get to sideboard after the first couple of games in that. But eventually, we will have a champion on Sunday. We can't wait to bring all the action to you. Whether you love draft or standard or just watching the best players and the best teams in the world going at it, we're going to be right alongside you for the next 3 days. For Maria, I'm Rich, your host, saying bye.